Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to qualifying for the 15th edition of the Golf 12 Hours, the 14th that we've had the event here at the beautiful Yas Marina Circuit. Less than 1 week ago, we saw a brand new Formula One World Champion crowned here, and 6 days later, we get things underway for qualifying for tomorrow's Golf 12 Hours, a 12-hour endurance race that really is just a treat to enjoy at the end of another hectic and busy motorsport year. Things are getting ready. We've got 4 sections of qualifying coming up, each of them over 15 minutes with a 10-minute gap in between each of the sections. And the first of those sections are about to go out onto the Yas Marina Circuit. To guide you through all the action, I'll take you through the action from down here in the pit lane and maybe get some comments from the drivers and the teams over the course of qualifying. But to guide you through all of the action as far as the timing screens and on-track action is concerned, we've got 2 commentators this year. In the commentary box, Chris Milbourne, and first of all, a very good evening to Mark Werrell.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Alan. Yes, welcome along to the all-important part of qualifying here at Yas Marina for the Golf 12 Hours. This will set the grid, these 4 sessions that are coming up for you, set the grid for how it will form tomorrow for the 15th edition of this particular event. Now, as Alan suggested, 15 minutes of qualifying times 4. Now, the way it works is that for those entrants that have 4 drivers in the cars, then they will take part with a different driver taking and setting a qualifying time in each one of the 4 sessions that we see coming up. Some of the cars, however, only have 3 drivers entered in the car, which means that those particular cars we won't see out in the first part of qualifying. The regulations state that those cars have to come out in sessions 2, 3 and 4. So each driver sets a qualifying time, and then the way the grid is formed, each car then has an average time across all of its drivers. So it's the average time from each of the drivers that's set in those 4 aspects that will set the grid for tomorrow. Sounds complicated, Chris, but it does work. And last year we had a real surprise. We saw a Pro-Am car, a Porsche, take pole position.
I'm so glad that you explained it, because I asked you off air, does it work if there is a driver, let's say a car has 3, but there are 4 sessions, there's another driver that maybe doesn't have as much experience compared to the other 2, do they get to go again in another session? Well, you confirm that, and that means, well, if you have 3 drivers, you're only participating in 3 of the sessions here. So here we are under the lights at the home, as Alan said before, home of Formula One here in the United Arab Emirates. 2 circuits here. We have the Yas Marina Circuit and, of course, the Dubai Autodrome. But here we are for the 15th edition of the Golf 12 Hours. Now, we're on board with Alexander West there, as he's been cleared to make his way onto the fast lane in the pit lane, and he'll be making his way down there. But it looked like a little bit of a jump there, maybe just kind of figuring things out, figuring out where the clutch balance is there and the brakes and everything. But of course, this is the time to get that out, right? To get those shakes out of the way, not do it tomorrow at all.
Yeah, Alex is a very, very experienced driver. He was a winner here in the Golf 12 Hours in the Pro-Am category last year. He has been a champion in the GT World Challenge Europe. That was back in 2020. And he's certainly got plenty of experience in the McLaren as well. So Alexander West, we'll see how he gets on. He's just on an out lap at the moment. Of course, all of the cars, it might be a 15-minute session, but already, you know, the clock is showing there's 11 3/4 minutes left, and most of the cars are only on an out lap. So in reality, you know, ambient temperatures have dropped a little bit now, understandably, now that we're heading towards dusk and night time. But they'll all be going out on brand new sets of Pirelli tyres, which they are limited for the amount of tyres they can utilise over a weekend. It's going to take at least a lap to get the tyres up to full temperatures. Yes, they're preheated when they go onto the cars coming out of ovens at the back of the garages, but you still need to get it up to full qualifying pace. That's going to take a lap. It's lap 2 and 3, and possibly 4 is going to be the sweet one. After that, there will be a bit of drop-off in the performance of the tyre again, so you've got to be on it straight away. And what they can't afford to do is go beyond a track limit and lose a lap.
And saying that, this is the 10th year of Pirelli being part of this championship as well. So nice slick rubber on each of the 4 corners. And with this being qualifying session 1, but this is for driver 4, I think this is the session where we're going to probably have the least amount of drivers in. So, of course, what the teams are doing here is they're spacing their driver out as much as possible from anybody around them. And, of course, there's a nice note that's popped up on a timing screen that says all cars must have their lights on. But what's interesting about the Yas Marina Circuit is because it's so well lit, because, of course, of Formula One, it acts as if we were racing during the daytime. But for safety reasons, we have to have those headlights on.
Yeah, it's a bit like when you see the Daytona 24-hour. It's such a well-illuminated circuit, Yas Marina, that it does feel as though you're in daylight. So Davide Scanicchio at the wheel of the Tsunami Porsche with its fantastic livery, just working his way under the W Hotel and coming up towards the end of his out lap. So he'll be the first to head on to a qualifying lap. So he comes up to turn number 16 and is about to flick his way through the right-hander shortly. Turn 15, and then flick his way through the right-hander at turn number 16. He'll be onto a flying lap. We've also got onto a flying lap at the moment Niels Kuhlen at the wheel of his Porsche. That's the fantastic-looking Razoon More Than Racing car. That again is another livery that, underneath the lights here at Yas Marina, it just really pops, brings the car to life.
There are a number of liveries here this weekend that, as you said, they're very eye-catching. You can spot them from very far away. It makes it very easy to spot your favourite drivers out there. Now, every car has a gorgeous livery on them, but some of them just stand out that little bit extra. Now, also on the track at the moment is Garage 59's number 8 with none other than the man who is currently running another pit wall at the Williams F1 team, James Vowles, who's here this weekend with us. A lot of people don't know that he does race GT3. He did race, a couple of years ago. We haven't seen him over the course of the current season. Obviously very busy with the Williams F1 team and bringing them up to where they are now. But great to see not a driver be a part of the Golf 12 Hour, but team personnel being here. And of course, I wonder if he has that knack every time they race out there. I just want to do it again. And of course, he's got that shot of here doing it here this weekend. So more cars now making their way out. We've got the TFT racing car, 2 Mercedes AMGs working their way out here as well. Gaia Valamont Racing also out there in the 44. The cars that you probably see there on the left-hand side of your screen, these might be cars that have 3 or less drivers. I think the minimum that we have here is 3. I don't think we have any combinations of 2. So they'll actually be waiting for their next session, but they put the cars out there just for maybe some final tweaks and adjustments just to get things right for their qualifying session.
Niels Kuhlen is about to set the benchmark time that everybody will aspire to. This is the first flying lap that the Porsche is about to conclude. He's gone quicker than anybody has gone so far through the first sector, and as he comes over the start-finish line, he sets a 1:55.666 at the wheel of the Razoon More Than Racing Porsche. So that's the first time popped into the book. Coming through is James Vowles. He has put in his first qualifying lap in the Garage 59 number 8 McLaren. That is sitting in the AM category, that particular car. That's a 1:56.326 as his first flying lap. And we've also seen Davide Scanicchio come through at the wheel of the Tsunami Porsche. He has gone third quickest at this stage, number 79 car with a 58.603. So those are the 3 good times that have come in so far. Other cars have done first flying laps, but they're not quite some sub 2 minutes yet. So those are the 3 cars that have done that. We ride on board with James Vowles, busy man, team principal of Atlassian F1 Williams. He's of course stayed over from the Grand Prix last weekend. Alan Hyde, I think, was that down there in the pit lane, Alan?
I was just going to get involved in the conversation that you were having about the liveries popping under the floodlights here at Yas Marina. The other thing that happens, not just the floodlights, but the sort of downlights, the uplights that appear around the circuit, the Yas Marina blue, which is right the way through along the start-finish line and the grandstand, and is picked up in the painting on the edge of the circuit as well. This place just looks spectacular at night time, and I think everybody was very knowledgeable when they're thinking about their liveries and putting them together. I watched from the W Hotel, so looking down on free practice yesterday evening. Under the lights, some of them really do, you use the phrase, pop, and the liveries just look fantastic. When I come down to pit lane and I'm really close to them, you can see even better just how well suited for this event they are.
A lot of liveries aren't simply bespoke for this event. They're popped on the car for this event. They'll take the wrap back off again for the next one. James Vowles using all of the curbs and a little bit more as he's pushing hard on this lap. Is he up through the first sector? Yes, he is. Is he up through the second sector? Yes, he's quicker than anybody through the second sector. James Vowles sets the fastest time in the session so far, 1:55.034. He might have been out of a race car for 2 years, but he's going well.
Yeah, and I wonder if he actually got some advice from Carlos and Alex there at the end of the season there. What's the best way to go around it? Sure, yes, they're two different cars, a Formula 1 car and a GT3 car, but of course, figuring out the Yas Marina Circuit kind of works both ways. You've got to get that knowledge in, and for James, he probably sat with them and said, right, where should I be doing this? Where should I be doing that? Is this the best place to be? Is it there? And now we see him at the top of the timesheets here. 20 cars here this weekend, stacked of McLaren, Porsche, Mercedes, AMGs, Ferrari, and of course Audi. And I still find it quite weird that Porsche's never taken top honours here. They were on pole position last year, but it just seems so odd with their pedigree and the teams that have come in over the course of the past 15 years that have been so strong, but just when it comes to the end, Porsche just haven't been able to grab that all-important part.
No, absolutely. You look back at the list of wins. Ferrari have had 8 wins over the duration of the Gulf 12 Hours. Mercedes have taken 3. Audi have taken 2. It's just a sole win for McLaren. In reality, it could have been 2 last year, but of course the car that crossed the line first was given a post-race penalty, and that was because it sped in the pit lane on its final pit stop. So by the time that was applied, Audi took that second win. So you're right, yeah, be good to see another manufacturer added to it. Or might we see Ferrari win for the first time in the 296, because all of their wins have been from 458s and 488s, of course.
So as you see there, shots of pit lane, as we said before, these are the drivers that, or the teams that have 3 or less drivers, or better yet, they have 3 drivers in their camp. Currently on track, we have 8 cars that are circulating, so 8 teams here will have 4 drivers who will do the whole Gulf 12 Hour here. Now Lisa Clark there at the tail end there in the 27 for Pellin Racing. She's done a 2:03.836, of course, experience around the Yas Marina Circuit, and the likes behind the Ferrari Challenge as well from a few years ago. So great to see her back here once again at the track.
Top of the times now is the TFT Racing Mercedes, the number 28 car, which see just made a small mistake there heading in towards the braking area at turn 6. That is Benjamin Pack that's behind the wheel of that car. He's popped in a very impressive time, actually, 1 minute 53.483 so far, which gives him a significant advantage of around about 1.6 seconds compared to any other time that's been popped in so far. So that car is going very, very well in the hands of the young Belgian. He's only 20 years of age, Benjamin, who's been racing largely Porsches in the past.
So this is the mistake that he made, and like you said, it's just a small wiggle, and that unfortunately put him in the yellow when it came through Sector 2. He had a very quick Sector 1 time there, a 23.967, but just that slight squirm there of the wheel unfortunately sets him back, but still provisional pole in class for the time being here. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's only when we get through the end of Q4 do we then know as to what the average times looks like. So each session will bring you through what's happening in that session, but we'll also try and bring you up to date with what the average time looks like, and therefore who is ultimately going towards pole position. So the number 28 Mercedes, having had that wiggle, it was a slower lap in the end as it came through over the start finish line. Not much slower, about 4 tenths were lost with that small mistake. One to watch out for again could be James Vowles again on this lap. He has lost a bit of time, about 0.4 of a second through the first sector, but he's gone absolute best by about 0.3 of a second through the second sector. So the Garage 59 number 8 McLaren could be the one to watch this time through. He's pushing hard.
With 1:55.011 as their fastest time so far for that number 8. We'll see when they come across the line in a few seconds' time, working their way through Sector 3. Now, Mark, you noticed something flailing off the back bumper there of one of the 296 GTB cars there. Now, what number is that one that we can see?
27, I think. It's Lisa Clark. There was something flapping around the left-hand corner. Yeah, a little bit of tape. It might just be a sticker that's coming off, possibly.
It looks like
it's the Pirelli sticker, yeah.
Well, at least we know the sticker comes off before the tyres, right? So that's nothing really to note. There's not any reason to come into the pit lane. It's not really going to cause any issues. It's not going to stuff a duct or anything, is that?
No, I suspect what's happened is she might have just caught one of the little markers on the inside of the corner, and it's just enough to nick the edge of the Pirelli tape on that car. So she's pressing on hard at the moment and has gone quicker than she's previously gone through the first sector. The last lap from Lisa was a 2 minute 3.002 at the wheel of the number 27 car. Lisa, who largely in recent years has been racing in the Ferrari North American Championship. We've also seen her out in the European Championship in the past as well. She's about to come over the start-finish line. Should be on for an improvement. How much further is it going to hoist her up through the order as she comes through? Ultimately, no, it's a slower lap, so no improvement there from the 2:03.002 she'd set earlier.
That 2:03.002, as you said before, that keeps us 7th quickest at the moment. And TFT Racing across the line now. Is there an improvement? Yes, there is. A new fastest lap of this session, a 1:53.150. Purple through Sector 2 and Sector 3 there for the young Belgian driver. And I've got to say, it's a magnificent livery and also a magnificent sound there as well from those Mercedes AMGs. We're encased here in a commentary box that's soundproof, but you can still hear the lyrical tune of that car shoot its way down the front straight there.
You can feel it, can't you?
You can feel it rumble, can't you? Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly that.
I think of all of the GT3 cars, Alan, it's probably the Mercedes and the Bentley that make the earth move a bit more.
They really do. It's such a distinctive sound, and it's such a loved sound in GT3 racing, isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely. So Benjamin Pack is still fastest of all so far, but he's eased things off a little bit through the first sector this time through, and that's because he's starting to catch up a little bit with the number 44 Mercedes, which for this particular session is going to be in the hands of Sergio Perez. Sergio is set at a 2 minutes 0.648, and already with just seconds to go, we're almost at the conclusion of the first part of qualifying, Chris. That has absolutely flown by.
Well, there is the official finish here for qualifying session number 1 for driver 4. As you said, we only saw a handful of cars out there. Only 8 cars took part in the session because they have 4 drivers driving here this weekend. So it's Benjamin Pack who led this session so far with a 1:53.150, but as Mark said at the beginning of the session, it's the average time between all 4 sessions that will be counted, and that will set the position up for our 12-hour race tomorrow, which, very interesting, here the Golf 12 Hour is separated into 2, an 8-hour and a 4-hour.
So Lisa Clark about to come through. She's quicker through the middle sector, which is the longest sector. Is she going to improve? Yes, she does. A 2 minute 2.464 is an improvement. However, better improvement from Victor Plekhanov at the wheel of the number 3 Porsche, who goes quicker. And also, I saw leaping up through the order there, the number 44 Mercedes of Sergio Perez, who comes through and goes 4th quickest with a 1:55.699. So that is a good improvement from him. So I think there's still possibly 2 more cars to take the checkered flag. One dives to the pit lane, which is Karina Gosner at the wheel of the family-run MP Racing Mercedes. That's trundling its way down the pit lane, and there's just 1 more car to take the checkered flag, which is the Tsunami Porsche of Davide Scanicchio, but he is slower through both the first and the second sector, so I would imagine he is also going to be destined for the pit lane.
And as we said, that brings an end now to the first session here for qualifying driver number 4. We'll have a short break and then we'll move on into the next round of qualifying here. That'll be driver number 3. So we're doing it in reverse order, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then once we have all the times in, their average time will be the time that sets them onto the grid for tomorrow's race that starts nice and early tomorrow morning here at the Yas Marina Circuit. So TFT Racing's Benjamin Pack in the Mercedes AMG with a 1:53.150. That's the early benchmark so far, and let's see what the rest of the team can do. Can they keep that 28 Mercedes on top when it comes the end of all of our 4 qualifying sessions here at the Yas Marina Circuit?
Well, they've had plenty of track time already, all of the drivers. It's not as though they're just jumping straight into qualifying. They have had 5 free practice sessions or open practice sessions, depending on what they've been officially called, since we arrived here. Let's just confirm things then. It's the TFT Mercedes that's fastest of all at the moment, the number 28 car. The Garage 59 McLaren of James Vowles was 2nd quickest. 3rd quickest was the Rezoon Northern Racing Porsche, Niels Coulomb potting in the time. 4th quickest was Greer Valmont Racing, Sergio Perez. 5th was Tsunami, thanks to Davide Scanicchio. 6th was the number 58 car, which is MP Racing and the Gosner family. Karina took that first part of qualifying. 7th was the number 3 Porsche, which was the Car Collection Motorsport. Regulars they've been as entrants as a team into the Golf 12 Hours. Victor Plekhanov setting the time, and slowest of the 8 cars we saw in that session was the number 27 Ferrari in the hands of Lisa Clark, representing Pellin Racing. So it's sort of alt control delete or reset, depending on what you want to do, because we're getting ready, Alan, for part 2 of qualifying.
We are. I'm just going to see if I can get a very quick word with James Vowles, because he got out the car to a spontaneous round of applause from the team.
Yeah, that felt great. I mean, the team's been brilliant all year. I have to say, Garage 59, there's a reason why I come here. It's a home from home. Incredibly professional team. Alex and myself go way back, and it's just a pleasure to be here this weekend with them all.
Over the course of this weekend, we'll have a bit more time tomorrow, so I might be able to talk to you a little bit longer about your car racing career thus far, because I think you started out in club racing in the UK, didn't you?
Yeah, I very much was grassroots back in the UK in a couple of tin top series. And I fell in love, got to test GT3 for the first time in 21 and fell in love with it. It was just such a great category. And from then onwards, a little bit of Elie Le Mans and then big break, and to here we are today.
Is this just a relaxing weekend? I know you're here with your family. This is a weekend off.
It is. It's actually my partner's Rachel's birthday tomorrow, so this is how we celebrate. I don't think she's best pleased about how we're celebrating it, but it's nice to have my family around me. And for me, you know, I celebrate motorsport all round. Formula One is my life, obviously, it's my passion, and I absolutely love just being a small part of it.
I have to ask, have you got her a nice present?
Yes, don't worry, we got that covered off.
Very good, James. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
James Vowles down here in Garage 59.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear a lot more from James over the weekend, but he's absolutely right. Yeah, started at club level racing, classic touring cars in the UK of all things. So it's good to see James back out and racing, and clearly he's blown the dust away. If there wasn't any in the first place, with what was the second quickest time. So that's an AM class car that he's driving. So that's where we've got 4 bronze drivers, would mean that is going to be an AM class car, and he's second quickest overall, beating all the other Pro-Ams that we've just seen out in that session.
Now, do you think the present that he's got for his wife when it comes end of tomorrow, do you think that's the trophy, or do you think he's actually got her something?
I would like to think he's bought a little bit more than that. Otherwise, was it Rachel might not be happy?
Well, I shall quiz him tomorrow, that's for sure.
So we are having a short break here, and the cars are being prepared for our next session, which will be for qualifying driver number 3. And as we said before, it's the average time for the 4 sessions, which will set the grid up for tomorrow's race for the Golf 12 Hour, the 15th running of the Golf 12 Hour, the 10th year that we're running with Pirelli slicks on all 4 corners as well, applying fresh burnt rubber to the track as well.
Yeah, you were talking about cars with 2 drivers. The regulations do actually allow you could have a car entered with 2 drivers for the Golf 12 Hours. We don't have any this year, but again, they would miss sessions 1 and 2 and only appear in 3 and 4 is the way the regulations are written. But for this one, you're only having 8 cars in that first session. We'll have everybody out in session number 2. So as you can see, even those cars, the number 27 car that was driven in that first session by Lisa Clark, it's come out of the pit lane. You can see it already upon the air jacks. The Pirelli tyres already taken off. They'll be put back into the ovens out the back of the garages so that they can keep those tyres warm again, put them into tyre ovens which have warm air blown into them, and there'll be another set that then only at the very last minute will be brought out of the ovens. You'll see the mechanics running through the garages with the wheels and the tyres, popping them on the Ferrari at the last possible moment, and it will trundle its way back down the pit lane. So looks as though there's not a lot of activity there, but out the back there'll be lots going on.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that a number of cars have already put tyres on. Well, there we see the first car to make its way to the exit of pit lane. That's one of our locally based teams here. That's the Enrico Fulgenzi car, a 3-driver lineup with Alex Giannone, Andrea Girondi, and of course Enrico Fulgenzi himself, who will be driving that car here this weekend. An interesting weekend for them as well, because they will also be focusing on what's happening down in Dubai as well, as they have Stanislav Minsky racing their car in the Golf Pro car. But I have to say, those 2 drivers came into the championship last year and they drove the absolute wheels off that car, getting as much track time as they could. No matter what happened in a session, they were always there. They were the first to arrive, and they put in all the effort because they had a goal in mind, and that was to be quick during an endurance race. And there's no better place to start in sprint racing and work your way up, and it's fantastic to see what that team have done here to get themselves here last year as well, the Golf 12 Hour, doing it again this year, but also focusing their attention on bigger endurance races around the region. Of course, a lot of the team there does racing around the world as well, raced in Italy, during our off-season here, because our season here in the United Arab Emirates and the surrounding region is only about 3 to 4 months, because it just gets far too hot to be racing. And I've got to say, it's actually been quite warm here, so I'm glad that they're racing here under the lights, under the moonlight here, essentially. It does make things a bit more different, because, of course, we will be racing from 8 in the morning tomorrow all the way through to 11:30, so that's something they're going to have to adjust here. But the cooler temperatures mean for a cooler head.
Yep, absolutely. I did look at the forecast earlier on. There was, according to the weather app that I was on, there is a possibility of 40 to 50% chance of some overnight rain tonight. I don't know whether that's subsequently changed, but that would mean that the circuit would be a bit green again for the start of the race tomorrow morning. All of that rubber that's been laid down in the last few days could possibly disappear, Alan.
Early in the morning is what I saw on the weather app that I was looking at, and possibly rain for around about 1 minute.
Right, okay. That's proper UAE rain. But we did have it a few years ago, Alan, didn't we? In the race, wasn't it? We had some rain.
We certainly did.
There were no clouds, but we had water.
And you know what? This event, so many people come here because it's a great way to finish their motorsport season. It's just a super way to have some lovely weather, drive on a quite superb circuit, and really feel that the motorsport season has come to its conclusion for the year. And so it's not in the spirit of the event to have rain.
It's one of those events, I think we've alluded to it before, you know, of course it's serious, everybody wants to win it, that's why they're out there and racing, Alan, but it also has sort of that relaxed atmosphere about it, because most of the drivers bring their families along and have it as part of a holiday, and it's got that sort of a end of term feel about it as well, isn't it, the end of another busy motorsport season.
Oh, it's a lovely event. It's just got such a feel-good feeling about it. It's unique as well. So when we finish qualifying this evening in probably just around an hour's time, we'll have got through all of the 15-minute segments of qualifying. There is a harbour-side barbecue for all of the teams, for all of the drivers as well. Everyone is invited that's part of the Golf 12 Hours paddock. And how many other events do you know where that happens? You know, not really. Has the final engine cooled down from qualifying, then they're tucking into a nice burger or a leg of chicken or something. It's just a totally unique event in so many aspects.
It is, absolutely. So the car's starting to trundle their way out now. So Thomas Gostner has jumped on board the family number 58 car. We've got Damir Satov on board the number 3 car collection motorsport Porsche. Mark Muzzo has jumped on board the number 27 Pellin Racing Ferrari. Stephen Grove is out at the wheel of the Grove Racing by Get Speed number 4 Mercedes. The Enrique Fulgenzi Porsche has now got Alessandro Gioni on board. Haas RT, first time we'll have seen an Audi R8 out, because of course none of the R8s were out in the first session. Simon Balsian. Todd Coleman, who finished second last year, is on board the number 69 Optimum Motorsport McLaren. Brendan Arieb is driving for Inception Motorsport, as it has done for years, but not in a McLaren, in a Ferrari here, which I think is the first time Inception Racing have raced their Ferrari outside of North America.
And that's something that I spoke to them as well before, because I'm very used to seeing them race that McLaren and seeing them in a different car and a more eye-catching livery as well, more of like a caution tape thing on their car. It's very vibrant, yellow with black. It's this big Inception there on the side of it. Now, Alan touched upon something with this event being so unique, right? Not the barbecue, but the event as a whole. And actually next year, it is going to be rather unique, because on the 30th of December 2026, we're going to have a new sprint event here. It'll be traditional Golf 12 Hour. And then, of course, the next edition of the Golf 12 Hours will be on the 10th of January 2027, and a return to a 4-day format for more track time. And, of course, it makes it a little bit more fun for everybody who's participating, the teams and the drivers as a whole.
Yeah, that was announced yesterday, wasn't it, that the date moves to the weekend of the 9th and 10th, which was the same date, and my wife had just booked some tickets for the gig, but we didn't know at the time that the date for the Golf 12 Hours had moved, so we've had to do some jiggling in the diary within the family in the last 24 hours. So we're starting to see most of the cars now working their way out. The number 8 McLaren has got Mark Sampson on board, former British GT champion in the Silver Am category a few years ago. Good to see Mark back at the Golf 12 Hours. The number 14 Razoon More Than Racing Porsche has now got Richard Wolf on board. Johannes Ziegler is on board the number 79 Tsunami car, and who else have we not picked up on yet? Into Africa Racing by Haas RT, the second of the Audis, has got Zoli Larka behind the wheel. Sergei Stolyarov jumps on board the number 16 Winwood Racing Mercedes. Alan.
It's an easy equation for next year, really, isn't it? I don't know if it's just for the teams and the drivers or for the commentary team as well, but you just spend Christmas over here. It'll be a lovely, you have an event before Christmas and an event after Christmas. So there you go, your present for your wife is sorted for next year.
And that's clever organisation as well by driven racing events as well, because, you know, you've got to ship the cars over here for a lot of the cars. Of course, you've got some of the UAE-based cars and Middle Eastern-based cars, but for a lot of the teams, they're coming over from mainland Europe and beyond potentially. But so if you're going to bring the car over here, that's sweat the asset almost and get it out on track on more than one event.
Of course, and also in January we have a lot of endurance racing here at the Yas Marina Circuit and down the road in Dubai as well, so it's a great opportunity just to keep everyone around as well. Our sole representation from the GCC region, while there are drivers that have licenses here from the United Arab Emirates and surrounding countries, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, the Omani driver for Al Manna by Dragon, is also on track now behind the wheel of the 77, and I've got to say, one thing for me, it's very strange to see him behind the wheel of a Ferrari. I'm used to him either being behind the wheel of a Mercedes AMG or a Porsche, where he won 2 championship titles here in the region for Carrera Cup Middle East. He won 2 of those as well. Great to see him here this weekend racing as well.
Brendan Arib will be the one to watch on this particular lap. He's just coming through turn 12 and turn 13 at the moment underneath the W Hotel, but in the early stages of this one he has gone purple through sector 1, absolute best, purple through sector 2, absolute best, and the Ferrari 296 is on to set a fairly stellar lap. We've just had Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, however, beat Brendan Arib's time through that slightly longer middle sector. So up to the top of the times goes the yellow Ferrari over the start-finish line. The number 70 Inception Racing Brendan Arib driven Ferrari 296, which is in the GT3 Pro category, is on the top of the times, and that is a 1 minute 53.102, which means that for that car its average time is exactly that, because of course it wasn't out in the first session. So this is now where we need to compare the quali time that's happening in this one to what the average time looks like when you add all of the times together and divide it by the number of drivers that have set them.
As the Winwood Racing team now moves up to 3rd overall. Of course, that was one of the cars that was not out in our previous session. Make that 4th now, because it's a 155.012, because Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and the Al Manna by Dragon at number 77 moves up into 2nd overall with a 153.120, quickest through sector 2 with a 47.202 that time round. And Jordan Bosson now out onto the track as well for the TFT Racing number 28. They were the only team in the, well, that was the team actually that set the benchmark in qualifying 1 with that 153.150, but no doubt now that time will come down for them as they try to work their way up the order. Now remember, it is the average time from all 4 sessions that will set the grid up for tomorrow's race, nice and early here at the Yas Marina Circuit, as we see Enrico Fulgenzi Racing now making their way across the line with Alex G behind the wheel at the moment. Now where does that put that car? We have to look up the order, because they're no longer in 19th position. That puts them 8th quickest for the time being with a 156.055.
Yeah, good improved time there from Alessandro Giannoni. And let's have a look at other sectors coming in. Jordan Boisson going well through sector 2 and sector 3, but that was only on his out lap, so what can he do now? He's onto a flying lap. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, absolute best through the middle sector at the wheel of the number 77 Al Manna by Dragon Ferrari. Now that car has been going well all weekend so far. Ben Tuck and Chris Froggatt due to share that particular car with him, so he's just working his way through and underneath the W Hotel any second now. And what does sector 2 look like was, the purple sector. First sector, he was not that far away from the best as well. So this could potentially move this car up and ahead of the Inception Racing Ferrari. So it's a 296 first and second in this session at the moment. Mercedes 3rd, Mercedes 4th, McLaren 5th, Porsche 6th. And as Al-Faisal Al-Zubair comes over the start-finish line, he is ultimately 2/10 slower than his previous best. Couldn't quite hook it up through sector 1 and sector 3.
42.306 there for the Omani driver there, and it's incredible to see that the gap for that quickest time through that 2nd sector was 1/1000th of a second. Now that is Brendan Arib getting out of that Inception Racing Ferrari, and that looks like done and dusted by the looks of it. 1 lap in the books, that was all they needed to sit on top of the timesheets. Seems to be rather quick there with more than 7 minutes remaining on the clock, and well, 19 other cars still circulating, and we've got purple times coming in as well. Brendan lying in there in the 44 car with a 47.094, and Al-Faisal Al-Zubair going quickest of all through sector 1 with a 23.762. So I don't think the Inception Racing team should have bought that car in that early.
Well, yeah, maybe based on what they think the predicted times were, he was just happy with it, because of course we've got the 2 higher graded drivers to go in as yet. We're about to see coming out of the final quarter Brendan Leach at the wheel of the Grey Valmont Mercedes, purple through the middle sector, and he goes 3rd quickest in this session and fastest of the Pro-Am cars now with a 1 minute 53.039 from him. That was a purple middle sector and the purple final sector. An off, I'm afraid, and that's Jordan Boisson, is it? The number 28 car that's had a fairly lurid off, and let's have a quick look at exactly what happened to him. It was early on in the lap, and as he starts to work his way through turn number 2, turn number 3, that was a fairly quick spin, wasn't it? That's going to not do those Pirellis a great deal of good. The one good thing, however, he did make a bit of contact with the barriers, but it was very, very light contact, and I suspect if there is any damage, it is only just cosmetic.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he lost it before we got the shot of it as well. He was losing it through turn 2, so maybe just 2 wheels on the grass, just losing it a bit of grip there through that corner. Now, the Almana by Dragon Alfazar Zubair car goes quickest of all with a 1:53.095. So I do believe Inception Racing may have come in a little bit too early there, but let's wait and see. We still have 2 more qualifying sessions to get through after this. Haas RT, Simon Balkeen has come into the pit lane as well in that 21.13 fastest with a 1:56.418 average, and that was the quickest time set by Simon earlier on in the session here. Now we have a new car at the top of the timesheets here, the 81, the Winwood Racing Mercedes AMG of Marvin Dunst is across the line there with a 1:52.808 here, with just over 5 minutes remaining on the clock here in qualifying driver number 3, our second of our 4 qualifying sessions.
Yep, so a good lap then popped in by Marvin Dienst to go to the top of the times, and is into the 52s as well. He's the only driver I think that's done that so far, isn't he? 1:52.808 from the number 81 car, and he's even quicker on this particular lap as well. The number 13 car in hands of Denis Remenyenko, that's the capital RT by Motorpark Mercedes, just working its way out of the tight hairpin at turn number 5 and thundering its way down the straight to head through what will be the second sector of the race. But Marvin Dienst at the moment is quickest in this session, for which there's still 4.5 minutes to go, and there's still good improvements being made out there. So the likes of number 13 Denis Remenyenko Mercedes, quicker than he's previously gone through the first sector, and looking to try and improve upon what is 7th overall and 5th in GT3 Pro.
So across the line now comes Mark Wuzo there in the Ferrari, the number 27, a 1:57.636. Now does that average out the average essentially, but it's a 1:59.857 so far. It was a 1:57.250 though in this session so far for that car to put them in 18th position overall. So it is an improvement, but not as high as they would like to be at the moment, but still plenty of time, and of course 2 more sessions to come after this with 2 more fresh drivers to get behind the wheel. Now the 88 is making his way across the line as well. It is an improvement at 1:55.747, and that gives a higher average as well to them because they were not in that first session we had.
Just looking at the time for Marvin Dienst, he's gone back over the start-finish line. He was quicker than he'd previously gone through Sector 1 and Sector 2, but the number 81 Mercedes was slightly slower through Sector 3. So the upshot was the lap time was a 1/10 of a second slower. But watch out on this lap for the number 44 Brendan Leach-driven Mercedes. He's gone quicker through the first sector than he's previously gone. He's gone quicker than everybody so far through the middle sector and has gone purple. So the car that is currently fastest of the GT3 Pro-Am cars and 4th quickest overall on average times at the moment is about to flash its way over the start-finish line now, and could well possibly go towards the top of the times as he goes through and over the start-finish line. He improves his time, but the average does not improve a great deal because, of course, that car was out in the first session. But that's a 1:52.868, which is the quickest time we've seen in this session so far.
So 81 as well is on a quick lap here as well. Purple through Sector 1 with a 23.738. That's the quickest so far in the session. Dienst behind the wheel of that 81, working his way now through the 3rd sector, but that's just been bested by the 44, the car that we're currently looking at as well, with a 23.689, but a personal best as well for Dienst through the 2nd sector as well. Will we see him dip lower into the 1:52s? Will it best at 1:52.808? Well, he's got a sector to sort that out now as well, as the sister car comes into the pit lane. That's the number 16 of Sergei Stalyarov, now shown as 7th quickest overall, and Almana by Dragging also across the line, but they'll go into the pit lane instead.
So Brendan Leach pushing on this lap, purple through the first sector. What might Marvin Dienst be able to do, because he is quicker than he's previously been through both Sector 1 and Sector 2. This is the car that on average times is currently top of the times. Is it going to improve upon the 152.808 that he set earlier on? Yes, it's a 152.667. So that is the fastest time we've had in this session so far. That car did not take part in session 1, so its average time is exactly 152.667 at the moment. But as we say, the whole dynamic changes as we head through Q3 and then we head through Q4 when we get the final 2 drivers into the cars. This lap though for the number 44 Mercedes of Brendan Leach is looking very, very positive indeed. Absolute best through the first sector, absolute best through the second sector. Now Sergio Perez drove this car in the first qualifying session, so on average time he was a little bit slower, so it's not going to put this car right up through the order. It's a bit untidy through the final couple of corners, but it was still an improved time, and that is a 1 minute 52.520 from Brendan Leach, the Kiwi, who has been very, very successful over the years driving Lamborghinis, but he's doing a good job, isn't he, behind the wheel of this Merc?
A tenth of a second quicker as well than our fastest, but because of that average time, they're still sat in 4th position, so they're going to have to really push if they want to get further up the order as well, because remember, it's the average time that sets the field up for tomorrow's Golf 12 Hours here at the Yas Marina Circuit, and the session is coming to a close here. Less than 30 seconds remain on the clock. You can see a lot more cars have now made their way into the pit lane. Tsunami RT now working their way across the line with a number of cars behind them as well, including Marc Bouzou and Thomas Gostner as to be. None of the 3 there improving on their lap times as well, or making their way through the order, but going to have another crack at it this time round, just to see if they can give the next driver that bit of an extra edge when it comes to qualifying session number 3.
So fastest at the moment is a pro car. It's another pro car that's 2nd and 3rd. The first of the pro am cars is 4th, and the first of the am cars is 9th at the moment on average time. So checkered flag out. Still a few cars out there and on flying laps at the moment, but they're not looking as though there are any great deal of improvements in terms of sector times. Simon Balchian maybe at the wheel of the Haas RT Audi, but he has dived for the pit lane, even though he was probably slightly up on time. Anybody else coming over, I think, Chris, they're probably going to be slower than the previous lap unless they can really hook the final sector together.
And as you said, there's no real purple or green times. There is one coming through at the moment, and that is the Haas RT car, but that car's actually already in the pit lane as well. So it looks like this is the cool down lap. I've done my job for the time being. Now it's time for me to hand over to the next driver here in the teams. So it'll be qualifying session number 3 that comes up after this. We'll take another 10-ish minute break for just some final adjustments to the cars there, and maybe put a fresh set or a warmer set of tyres on each of the 4 corners. And I've got to say something here as well. That Marvin Dienst car, when you look at it from a distance, does not remind you of something else with that colour scheme, because when I saw it in the pit lane, in the paddock area, I was like, there can't be an MC12 in the garage here, can it? Is Vitaphone back all of a sudden?
No, very...
Obviously some inspiration from that car as well.
It's one of those colours with Alan Hyde and I were talking about. It's one of those colours where people see it differently. It's sort of a teal colour. One minute it sort of looks blue, but other people say it's sort of more of a green shade of it. So, but it really does look good. The Gostner family Mercedes is going to continue with the lap by the look of things. So it's going to come over the start-finish line, and as it goes through, that will take the checker flag in the hands of Thomas Gostner, who does not improve his time, Alan.
If you were buying a Fender Telecaster in that colour, you would be buying one in seafoam green. And the reason that I know that is that I had one in that colour, and it was called seafoam green. So it's right in front of me actually at the moment. I might see if I can get a word with Marvin in just a couple of moments.
More interesting facts from Alan Hyde coming up throughout the rest of qualifying, and of course 12 hours to listen to them tomorrow.
Oh, that's just the start of it.
Is it? Right, okay. Do you know the RAL number as well?
No. All I know is that it's not blue.
If you're looking through my eyes, it is. That's the problem. So, yeah, Alt Control Delete, reset again. The pit lane will be seeing cars disappear back out in about another 7.5 minutes' time before we get the second aspect of qualifying underway. So again, the team's going to work, drivers jumping out of the car, incoming driver getting ready, seat inserts of course need to be remembered to be removed as well, and then of course all of those Pirelli tyres that have come off will be placed back in the ovens again. They'll be needed for tomorrow in the 12-hour race, split into its 2 sections of 8 hours for part 1, 4 hours for part 2. There's about a 2-hour gap in the middle of it where And again, the uniqueness of this event, Chris, we get that sort of 12-hour race, but it's done in 2 parts, and it's varied over the years, whether it's been 6 and 6. Of course, when it was part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge a few years ago, it was a full 12-hour race. We used last year for the first time this 8 and 4-hour split. But in the gap in between, the cars aren't in part ferme. They are for a little bit of it for the first maybe 10 minutes after part 1. But the teams can work on the cars. So if they have a problem in part 1, they could still get the car back out for part 2.
And it's not just the teams as well, it's the fans that get to see the cars and for autographs. We'll get to that later on because it is Brendan Leach there with the Gare Valemont racing car. 44 with a 1:52.250 there, but that's not their quickest time. It was the Winward Racing. They got the quickest of all with Marvin Dienst, who sits second in that session for Winward Racing in the 81. Alfez Alzaber, third fastest in the session with the Almana by Dragon. Ferrari 296 in the 77, but I did see that he was noted as speeding in the pit lane as well, so will something happen to him there? Will that time be removed? I don't think it'll be that harsh of a penalty, but certainly he will get a bit of a talking to there from the stewards. Brendan Arib there for Inception Racing. I think they only actually did 2 to 3 laps there in that session. 3 laps it is on the board there. They came in, but that's good enough for 4th fastest and 3rd overall. TFT Racing, we saw them go for a brief spin through 2. Jordan Bosson there, 5th overall with a 1:55.480 in the number 28. Dennis Romenkio for Capital Art by Moto Park there in the 13, the 1:54.248 in the session, with Sergei Stalyarov for Winward Racing, the sister car to the one that was top of the timesheets now. 7th overall for Herbert Motorsport there. Ralph Bonn sits 8. Now, just going back to it, the uniqueness of this here, as we'll have a look also at the combined results. So we will get a moment to speak about the uniqueness of that gap in between the two, won't we, Mark?
Yep, absolutely. So in terms of combined results, and when we're looking at the averages at this stage, Winward Racing and the number 81 Mercedes are fastest on average time at the moment. Then it's a couple of Ferraris thereafter. Alaman by Dragon, the number 77 car, with Inception Racing, which had Brendan Arib behind the wheel of it, 3rd at this stage. Then it's Mercedes, with Greer Valmont Racing, Capital RT by Motor Park, followed by TFT Racing and Winward Racing in their 2nd of their 2 cars, the number 16 car, that's 7th. Herbert Motorsport, the leading Porsche, is 8th, and the leading McLaren is 9th at the moment from Garage 59, the number 8 car. And that is the car that leads AM at this stage in terms of average times. The coloration to the numbers, if it's got red background to the number, that is a car that's in the Pro class. If it's got the yellow background to the number, that is a Pro AM car. And if it's a white background to the number, that means that it sits in the AM class. And you can see the way at the moment on combined results after the first 2 sessions of 4, the way the grid might look.
So Q3 will start in about 5 minutes' time. The fast lane has been opened, so that gives a chance now. If anybody does want to go out a bit earlier and sit there at the end of pit exit, but then that also means the tyres are going to cool down, the temperatures are going to cool down in the car as well. So probably not the best thing to do right there. Now, going back to the uniqueness of this race here, but before we do that, I'll eventually get it out. Let's go down to Alan in the pit lane.
Yeah, because I've got Marvin with me, who has very kindly come out of the garage to have a chat to us. And you said, can we stand by the car? Yes, we can. It looks spectacular, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely love the design. We had it this year, all the year in GT World Challenge Europe. And yeah, we stick with it, and it looks really good.
Under the floodlights, it just kind of takes off, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It's my first year in Abu Dhabi. I've never been here before, so first time for me driving here in the floodlights. Absolutely spectacular.
Well, welcome, because everybody that comes to this event just loves it. It's got, you would know, you spend a year racing around the world. This has got a special feeling, hasn't it? It's different.
Yes, yeah. Also, over the day in the sunlight, the golden hours really are golden hours here. Sun looks amazing, blue sky, nice temperature, and now into the darkness with the floodlights. It's a special feeling, and it feels also really good inside.
Talking of special feelings, you just did a pretty good session of qualifying, didn't you?
Yes, once again, first time for me here in Abu Dhabi, and straight away to pole position in our quali shot. Car felt really good. So we had some technical issues yesterday. We got it sorted out, and now the car is flying. So I really liked it, really enjoyed it, and yeah, glad to give it P1 for the boys. This
circuit has evolved, and just about every driver that I talk to says they absolutely love it. Can you define exactly why it is enjoyable for a driver?
So when I came here this morning, first laps doing, I was quite surprised. It looks easy from the outside, but with all the long corners, especially in GT3 car, when you have the downforce, it really sticks and you really have to send it. And then you come into turn 3, in the sector 3 underneath the bridges and the hotel, and it got suddenly so technical. So it has the combination out of high-speed corners where you can use the aerodynamics, and you have the technical parts in the third sector, which makes it quite difficult, and this is a nice combination.
Yeah, those testy little sections underneath the hotel, fantastic if you're staying in the hotel, because over the last couple of days I've had some huge amount of excitement when tyres squeal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were staying there. Yesterday I was a bit annoyed in the afternoon when I had, had some engines running quite long, and I wanted to take a rest and sleep from the jet lag, but now it's absolutely effective.
I can recommend earpods for that.
Yeah, I should try, but mine ran out of battery and I forgot my charger. Yeah, that's how it is.
What can you do? What can you do? Marvin, well done. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Marvin down in pit lane.
Can you ask him if his car is green or blue, though? We need to get that confirmed
Okay,
as well.
I'll ask the question. I will ask the question from the commentary box.
Yeah. Is
Is this car green or is it blue? I'll give you a clue. The clue is in the question. Is this car green or blue?
Tough question. I would say specifically it's Tiffany blue.
Well, there you go. No, hang on. You used the word blue. I don't like this answer. Off you go, Marvin. Thanks very much indeed.
That was a loaded question and you lost there.
I did, yeah.
Chris, come on. You've got a minute before we go green again. What were you talking about?
Are you sure we have enough time for this? Because what I like about this gap in between it. No, okay, that's not Alan coming back in. But we've got this gap in between where it actually gives fans a chance to see, meet and get autographs from the drivers as well, so they can get up close, they can see the cars, and that's a real unique factor of the Golf 12 Hours. There are not many, I think, if at all, racing series around the world or even events that allow fans to get that close sort of halfway through the race, essentially. And it really opens it up and makes for a unique atmosphere. So as we said, qualifying for driver 2 is coming up next. Not to be confusing at all, it's qualifying session 3 for driver 2, but that's because we have 4 drivers that do individual sessions. So qualifying session 1 was done by driver 4, qualifying session 2 was done by driver 3, qualifying session 3 will be done by driver 2, and it looks like the first car that will be there at pit exit is MP Racing.
The one I'm intrigued to see who they put out, because of course you were talking about Brendan Reeve coming into the pit lane earlier and you thought that was a bit early, but he's the bronze. What they have is a bronze, a silver and a gold in there. So is it going to be local resident now, Ollie Milroy, who lives out here with his family in the Middle East? He's silver, or are they going to put Frederick Schandorf in, who's gold? I would imagine it's probably going to be Ollie Milroy that will come in. And of all of the cars, when I was looking from my balcony in the W Hotel down through, where do I look down over? I look down over turn number 12, so I could see sort of, I could see turn 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13 from my balcony in the hotel. Every time the Inception Racing number 70 came through turn number 12, you could tell when it was Ollie Milroy in the car, because I kept looking at the timing screen to see who was in the car. Ollie, absolutely inch perfect through there every time.
So let's see if he can replicate that here then.
Needs to do it in
qualifying. We'll have a confirmation if it is him behind the wheel. So Brenton Grove has gone out now in the number 4. Daniel Gaunt has gone out in the Tsunami RT number 79. Alexei Denisov has gone out in the number 3. Manuela Gostner has gone out now in the 58. And Aaron Tellitz has gone out in the number 69. So that brings a total of 5 cars. Now they've met 6 because the Haas RT number 21 is also making its way onto the track here for qualifying driver number 2. Alexander West is now creeping his way out and onto the fast lane. There'll be another driver added to the field.
It won't be Ollie in the number 70 car because he's got headset on and is watching the timing screens.
Right, thank you very much for that. So that means then it's going to be runner-up in the Golf 12 Hours last year, Frederick Schandorf, that's going to jump on board. He's been hugely successful in Super Trofeo. He won the World Finals in 2023 and 2019. He's also been a champion in the GT World Challenge Europe as well in 2022 and won International GT Open as well in 2021. A champion in Formula Ford in his early career as well. And we've also seen him out largely racing in IMSA sports cars in 2025. So as the higher graded driver in the car, Frederick Schandorf, I think, will be one to watch in this one.
Certainly would. And Chris Froggatt, has gone out in the Almana by Dragon number 77. And drivers have got to be a bit careful there because I see some more notes popping up on our screen about the pit blend exit line there. So number 21 has been caught so far. That's the Haas RT car. We're looking at the moment, and we're riding on board with Alexander West here as he makes his way down the back straight there, trying to get some heat in the tyres, as well as he will be heavy into the braking zone now, down towards turn 6 and 7 for what is qualifying driver 2 in qualifying session number 3 of 4 here. It's 15 minutes per session. We've not had a driver come and do their full flying lap just yet. However, they have gone through sector 3, some of them now as well, and now will be on their official first flying lap here around the Yas Marina Circuit, underneath the lights here to set that time in. And well, a number of cars now leaving it to the very last moments here. Well, we've only elapsed about 3 minutes of the session so far, but it seems to be a lot might be biding their time, because of course these sessions are now just going to get busier and busier with quicker and quicker drivers.
Yeah, it's a long circuit though, so they've got plenty of time to sort of find a bit of gap on the tarmac and the Yas Marina real estate, and then try and pop a quick lap in. Through the first sector, we have just seen Adam Tillitz go quicker in the Optimum Motorsport number 69 McLaren through the first sector than anybody else has done so far on his first flying lap. And what is he going to do through the second sector? Well, where is he on track at the moment, the number 69 car? He is working his way through turn 6 and turn 7, which is the tight left and right chicane at the end of the straight, and already now he's down through sector 2, and the second sector quicker than anybody through the second sector. So the Optimum Motorsport number 69 McLaren, not on average times at the moment, is 10th quickest, could leap up through the order here.
Well, yes, as you said before, purple through sector 1 and 2, 23.6 and a 47.2 so far, as Manuela Agosta now making her way through the final corner. Now, that MP Racing car number 58 down in 19th position, but personal best through sector 1 and sector 2. That leaps them up into 18th overall with a 159.632. That brings their average now down into the 159s, and it's only going to get quicker as this session progresses here as well. Enrico Fulgenzi Racing, Andrea Girondi now behind the wheel of that yellow and black Porsche number 17 here, are looking to go quicker in this session as well, and help improve their way up the order. Currently 12th quickest at the moment, but Inception Racing now, excuse me, sorry, not Inception Racing, Optimum Motorsport have gone fourth fastest there with a 152.737. That improves their lap time and their average as well to a 154.103. But Mark, I've noticed something interesting on our timing screens, and I think there is possibly a transponder issue here, because it says that Brendan Arib is behind the wheel of the Inception Racing car once again, but he did the qualifying session earlier, and from our conversation, the same driver cannot do 2 different sessions, so that might be a transponder issue on that car.
Yeah, just need to switch it to the other position, and as Alan suggested, we know it's not Ollie Milroy, he's got the headset on, so it will have to be Frederick Schandorf that's behind the wheel of that particular car. Well, Aaron Tillett, having gone quickest overall in this session so far and moving the Optimum Motorsports car, the number 69 car, up on average times to 4th quickest, is going even quicker again this time through. He's just gone through the first sector, absolute best, and he's just about to break the beam at the second sector, absolute best through the second sector. So this is again looking towards a good improvement here, but as we heard there, you know, this final section he's coming up to now is where it's much slower. There's not as much downforce on the car, it's far more technical, which means it's easier to make a mistake.
And we saw that in the Formula Trophy race earlier today. We saw a lot of lockups going through that third and final sector, specifically in the complex just before the W Hotel. But let's see what the Optimum Motorsport number 69 can do. Chris Froggett's also done a lap as well through 153.266. That puts them 3rd overall.
So close to the Armco barrier coming out of turn number 14 after the exit of the W Hotel. Over the start-finish line comes Aaron Tillitz. What can he do this time through? Slightly slower through the final sector, but still an improved lap time from him, a 152.479. So that improves the time. Of course, as a result of that, it also improves the average time. What it doesn't do is move them from 4th overall at this stage. So there's Ben Barnicoat watching on. He'll be ready to jump on board that car for what will be the final part of qualifying coming up shortly.
So the Winwood Racing number 81 now being driven by Gabriele Piano, with the Mercedes AMG still out in front, 152.667 last lap there at 206.650, so not up to the pace just yet, but now those quick sector times are coming in at 23.821 through that first sector. Now will they be the ones to top the time sheets when it comes the end of this session here, as Chris Froggett now across the line in the Almanor by Dragon number 77 Ferrari. Will that shoot them up the order as well? Yes, it does. It puts them back into second overall with a 153.014, brings their average down to a 153.054 across the line there as well. Good enough for the front row of the grid and second, but of course they don't want that. They want to be on pole.
I think we're going to see an improved time coming in here for the Inception Racing number 70 Ferrari in the hands of Frederick Schandorf, despite the fact that that transponder is still showing it as bringing Brendan Arib. He's gone quicker through the first sector than he's previously gone. He's gone quicker through the second sector than he has previously gone. On combined times, at the moment, it's third quickest overall for the Inception Racing Ferrari. And as he now flicks his way out of the final corner, which is turn number 16 and over the start-finish line, what does the time look like? It's an improvement, and now the car on quickest times, when we take the averages, goes second quickest. That's a 152.450 from Frederick Schandorf, which means the average time now for that Ferrari is a 152.776. And of course, we've still got Ollie Milroy to get in, the man who's got the headset on there and is looking on from the garage.
And also note that the Inter-Africa Racing by Haas RT, now driven by Axel Jeffries, has improved as well, moving up into 9th overall, a 153.142. Momentarily had that quickest sector time in Sector 2, but it was bested by the Winwood Racing number 81 on the previous lap, a 152.718. Now it's a 152.692 average for that Winwood Racing, with Gabriele Piana behind the wheel of that car and still holds the top spot in this session. Now, car number 14 also being warned about cutting turn 6 and 7. Now, that is the Razoon More Than Racing with Ferry Vermeulen behind the wheel of that Porsche, but that was on their outlap by the looks of it, so not cutting for a quick time to have removed.
I'm really intrigued with what Winwood Racing have done, because it was Marvin Dienst in the first session who's gold rated, their highest graded driver, Gabriele Piana in this one who's a silver, and they're going to put their bronze driver in for the final part of the session, which is former Gulf 12 Hour winner, which is Renit Salikov. So you could argue that, yes, they're in a good position now, but that car's average time is likely to go the opposite way in the final part of qualifying, because he's going to be the slower.
Well, the thing is, keep your cards close to you and always throw the spanner in the works just to throw everybody off, because we also see it obviously with Ollie Milroy getting in. The silver driver will come into the final session, but putting a bronze driver is really going to get everyone questioning around them. Should he really be a bronze-rated driver at this point? Should he not be a silver or a gold? We'll have to wait and find that out, because we've got 5 minutes left in the session. And the number 21 now being warned about crossing the pit exit line, but that will be investigated after Q4. So we'll have to see if that impacts them in any way. Now, the Inter-Africa Racing by Haas RT car, the transponder has been flicked over to a different driver. So it's actually Stuart White who's behind the wheel of that number 2 car, not Axel Jeffries. So they must have heard the commentary and gone, well, Axel sat here with us. Can you just switch it over real quick, because the wrong driver is being shown.
Improved time for Gabriele Piani last time through, 1 minute 52.418. Still keeps the Winwood Racing number 81 Mercedes at the top of the time. But watch out for Frederick Schandorf, because he was on a good lap and opted to come into the pits, actually. Really good Sector 1, absolute best Sector 2. But maybe there was a small mistake in Sector 3, and that's why the Inception Racing Ferrari is already in the pits, and Frederick is already out of the car.
And it's interesting because they did 3 laps in the first session. They've done 3 again here. So maybe also the car is not exactly to their liking. However, with that said, they're still second quickest with the average time of a 152.776. So maybe just, as you said before, they're looking at the lap times around and going, right, we can get it done in 3 laps. Let's bring the car in, not use too much of it up, figure out if there's anything that we do want to change and give to Ollie when he gets behind the wheel, so they have that optimal time when it comes the end of the session here with less than 4 minutes to go on the clock. Now, through Sector 2, that was the Inception Racing of Frederick Schandorf, who's now that the name is now adjusted. Jaden Ojeda in the Gaia Valmont Racing, number 44, has gone quickest of all last time round with a 152.120 to bring their average up to a 153.446. Well, average up, no, it's an average down, isn't it? Because it's the quickest time that they need.
Yep, so yeah, he might be quickest in this session, but on average time, that car sits 4th overall at the moment. But, however, it is still the fastest on average times in GT3 Pro-Am at this stage. And he's just done an absolute best middle sector as well last time through. Did he? No, he did not. Sorry, yes. So Jaden Ajida going beautifully well here. You can see the number 81 Mercedes about to flash its way, number 44 Mercedes about to flash its way shortly over the start-finish line. That picture there is just showing you Gabriele Piani, who comes through and again goes quicker last time through. That was all in the first sector, wasn't it, for the number 81 car? Quicker through the first sector, slower through sector 2, slower through sector 3. Upshot, still a net improvement, a 152.515, which now means that the average time for that car is a 152.591.
It'll be interesting to see what Jaden could do when he comes across the line in that 44. Will it be an improvement as well through the third and final sector? A 151.921. That does help them a bit there, but no improvement inside the top 3. It keeps them 4th overall here at the Yas Marina Circuit. Personal best as well for the car behind them, the Capital RT by Motopark.
So the way that Grey Vermont Racing, which is being run by Degani Motorsport, that's the team that's behind it. They've gone bronze, gold, gold, and they'll go back to bronze drivers for part 4 of the qualifying, because we haven't seen Marcel Zaloa out, have we? I don't think in that particular car as yet.
I think you're right, we haven't yet, have we?
Yeah.
So Enrico Fulgenzi racing now across the line as well, with Andrea Girondi behind the wheel. No improvement there from the Italian. The number 17 car sat in 15th overall. It's team boss himself, Enrico Fulgenzi, who will get behind the wheel in the next session as Garage 59 now also across the line with Alexander West behind the wheel. They're just there in the back shot there as Adam Christodoulou across the line as well in the 13. Now, was that an improvement from that number 13? Mark shakes his head as it wasn't, as he scans the screens in front of us. So Winwood Racing coming in here in the 16, and also the Resoon More Than Racing Porsche in the pit lane as well. Chris Froggatt will get out of the Almano Racing by Dragon now, and then of course the next driver in that car will be Ben Tuck, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that car as well to see how far they work their way up the order. Jaden Ajida has still got that quickest time of the session so far, a 151.921, but still only 4th fastest with that average out there.
Yep, so drop Ben Tuck in the car, and that could go well. Runner-up in the GT World Challenge Europe in his category this year. He's been runner-up in British GT Championship some years ago. Also was Ben Tuck. That was in GT4 though at the time. So we've got 30 seconds remaining on the clock. We have got no improvements for the car that remains out there in terms of sector times. There's a couple of green sectors, but those cars subsequently came into the pit, so they're not going to improve. So I think largely you can see that the vast majority of the cars now are exiting the circuit. Yes, there's still 15 seconds on the clock, but I think they'll all probably come in. Just heading underneath the W Hotel is Andrea Girondi at the wheel of the Enrico Fulgenzi Porsche. He is, however, slower through sector 1 and slower through sector 2. And is he going to pin into the pit lane? No, he's going to stick with the lap, but it's still going to be slower.
And bouncing over the curbs there through turn 15 as well as Andrea there across the line. As you said, no improvement there through the sector times. Now, interesting enough, the Tsunami RT car, though, has gone quick through sector 1. A personal best of a 24.073 in the likes of Daniel Gaunt behind the wheel of the Porsche number 79. So will there be improvements through sector 2 and sector 3 on this lap? Or will he call it quits come towards the end of the session here? But if you're pushing through sector 1, no doubt you'll be pushing through the second and third sector as well to see if they can improve that time. Best so far, a 158.054, but unfortunately their market's yellow through that second sector, so I think they may have called it quits on this one.
So we'll wait and see whether they can improve. We've also got out there, that's one of the Haas RT Audis, which I think is the number 21 car. So indeed it is, so that should be in the hands of Peter Gilanks, former Belcar champion back in his native country. And Peter, I think it's the first time we've seen him out at the Gulf 12 Hours. We've seen him racing in the Middle East before because he's done the 24-hour series here, both in Europe and in the Middle East as well. So we'll wait and see as to what he can do. And another car that's still out there is Alexei Denisov at the wheel of the number 3 car collection Porsche, but Alexei is again slower through sector 1 and through sector 2, and as he comes up towards a braking area at turn 12 and turn 13, wouldn't surprise me if he dives for the pit lane and aborts the lap, because it's not going to improve.
And interesting enough, across the line there, the Daniel Gaunt car, the Tsunami RT, actually did improve on that last lap as well, a 153.944. It doesn't move them up the order, but of course it helps sort of average out that time for a 155.792, but the quickest there, a 153.944 across the line. And that is the final car now. Well, actually, no, there are 2 cars that are yet to come across the line. Actually, the car collection, Motorsport car and Haas RT, the 3 and 21. And well, that is done and dusted. So those two have come in, and then of course they'll come into pit lane for a brief break here. We'll kind of swap on over to our final session here, which will be for qualifying driver number 1, but will be qualifying number 4.
Yep, and for some of the teams, they're putting in their hotshot and their highest graded drivers, so can't wait to see the likes of the number 14 Resume More Than Racing Porsche. Thierry Vermeulen will be behind the wheel of that one, who is the reigning GT World Challenge champion. He won both the endurance and the sprint categories in GT World Challenge this year, so he's yet to jump on board that one. But as we say, in stark contrast, other drivers are putting in one of their lower graded drivers. So you look at where the average times are, and at the moment after 3 qualifying sessions, and what the grid might look like, but it might look very different at the end of the 4th session, because some cars are going to improve because their higher graded drivers are going in. Others, the average time's going to go the opposite way.
And in the end of the day, it's a strategy game, right? Sure, there's 12 hours of racing, which can be lost on the first lap, but it can also be won when it comes to the end of the session. It can also benefit you heavily when it comes to the session at the end of the sessions here as well. We might see a bronze driver top the timesheets here when it comes into qualifying session 4, and wouldn't that be an incredible spanner to throw in the works to say, we've got this bronze driver and he is mighty quick there. That is Gabriele Piana of the Mercedes-AMG 81. The current overall average leaders here with a 1:52.591 at the moment. It is 0.2 of a second, or just under 0.2 of a second, with those average times between Windward Racing and Inception Racing, the number 81 and the number 70, separating the front row of the grid. Provisionally, we still do have a session to go, and of course, obviously, we'll get the final results tomorrow morning or later on this evening to see exactly who is where, because there might be something we didn't pick up on. But Mark, here, of course, is the end of the session, the timing results.
Absolutely. So the results for that session, which was Jada Nujeda, was fastest of all, with a 1 minute 51.921. Frederick Schandorf went second quickest at the wheel of the Exception Racing Ferrari, and Aaron Tillett, who set the time earlier on that everybody aspired to, was third quickest at the wheel of the Optimum Motorsport McLaren. Nico Bastian was fourth, didn't really see much of the TFT Racing number 28 Mercedes. Gabriele Piani for Windward Racing was fifth quickest. Thierry Vermeulen is showing as though he was out in that session, actually. Indeed he was, and I was expecting him in the final session. He did a 1 minute 52.820. I hadn't picked up on that, so not quite where we expected him to be. Alan Hyde, in the meantime, is down there in the pit lane.
I'm going to have a chat to Gabriele, who is standing in front of this Tiffany blue car. We understand it's Tiffany blue. Okay, I'll roll with it. Hey, I tell you what, things are going quite well for your team, aren't they?
Yeah, to be fair, maybe not the best ever qualifying of my life, but still good enough to still be in front. Car feels really good, and the team did a mega job, especially after the difficulties we had yesterday, which we could not drive effectively, so we lost a little bit of track time there, and we had to fight a bit back today, but seems to be working. And yeah, let's see now. It's really in the hands of Rinat now. No pressure, but I'm confident he's going to do a great job.
I was just interested. We were looking at the weather forecast for the weekend. Normally when we come to this event, we just absolutely guarantee sunshine. But have you seen the same weather forecast that I've seen, that potentially it may start off tomorrow a little bit damp?
No, I never look at weather forecasts.
You never do?
No. What does it help?
It's the same for everyone, you're quite right.
And I cannot change it, right?
You can't change it, you're quite right.
So I've never looked at weather forecasts. So if you didn't tell me, I would not have known.
You would not know. You'd just get up in the morning and go, okay, this is what it is.
Right. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to do the start anyway, so it's really not my problem.
Someone else's problem. Gabriele, thank you very much. That's a really good answer. Very good.
Proper team player, Alan, there, wasn't it?
I should say, still be having breakfast, won't he?
So we're about to get the final part of qualifying underway shortly. That's about 4 minutes away as yet. So before we focus our efforts on the final aspect of qualifying that will set the grid, let's have a look at what the combined results look like at the moment, Chris.
So when they pop on the screen, it should be the Windward Racing number 81 with a 1:52.591. That's the average that they have so far, with 2 sessions so far under their belt. And of course, that is going to be a lap time to beat here at the end there. Inception Racing sits second with an average of 1:52.776, so just under 0.2 of a second separate the two there. Almana by Dragon Ferrari 296 GT3 with a 1:53.054, and Guy Vermont Racing. Mercedes-AMG GT3 sits fourth overall, and the leaders in Pro-Am with a 153.380. Then we have to look quite a ways down to 12th overall, where we see the leaders in GT3 Am. That is the Garage 59 McLaren 720S GT3 with a 154.818 as their best average so far. Not their best time exactly, but their average so far. So it looks like, well, we've had Marvin Dienst behind the wheel. We've had Gabriele Piana. That means we have Selenkov now will take the wheel of that Winward Racing number 81. And what can he do here when we come the end of the session? I have a feeling it's going to be a quick one as well. It's going to be very tight when it comes to the overall average here to set the field up for tomorrow's race. So Q4 will start in around 3 minutes time, Mark.
Yeah, we'll see what Renat Salikov can do. So he is a former winner of the Gulf 12 Hours. That was in 2019, Attempto Racing. He was runner-up in 2017 as well, was Renat Salikov. Bronze-graded driver, so he is the lower-graded driver of the three drivers that are on board Winward Racing. But wouldn't it be great if he can pop a quick lap time in here and that car start from pole position? Because if I've got the information right, Renat Salikov's birthday is this weekend, and he turns 40.
So a lot of birthdays here to celebrate, a lot of trophies to be given out to maybe the drivers, maybe, you know, better halves, essentially. Also looking at the weather forecast, because I still find it quite baffling that we may have a chance of rain here. And last year in the UAE, we didn't get as much rain as we would have liked to have. And I'm interested to see that there is a 30% chance of rain before 6 a.m. So the track should dry before we get things underway here for the 12-hour. It says it's going to be very, very minute rain here,
right,
though.
So it might not even wash away the rubber that's been put down, so it still might not be a green track. It might be fully rubbered in still if it's very light rain. So.
Here we have a very unique weather ecosystem here at the Yas Marina Circuit. We've had races here where we've had sporadic showers of rain, especially down towards Turn 5, which seems to have its own weather ecosystem down there sometimes. But I think like the driver of the number 81 said, Gabriele, I don't think rain's going to play a big factor here tomorrow.
No, not at all. But it has happened in the past. We shall wait and see. So you can see now mechanics starting to dash out and bolt the Control Pirelli slick tyres onto the 20 cars that line up there in the pit lane. And then the pit lane is open already. No takers as yet at the top of the pit lane, but we'll be going green in about 45 seconds. So they can venture out onto the circuit and chalk the final few laps in. And then as long as there's no subsequent penalties after qualifying, the grid then is going to be set. We don't necessarily know as yet whom the starting drivers will be tomorrow. Yes, the teams will have discussed it, but they will notify race control as to whom the starting driver is, and we will find all of that out in the morning. So there we can see the Inception Racing Ferrari 296 up on its air jacks, the twin turbocharged car. The road cars are hybrid. They take the hybrid system off for the race cars, so it is a twin turbo car without hybrid, the 296 in racing format.
And of course, they take it out because the hybrid system's quite heavy, isn't it? It's when it comes to racing, it's all about weight, and the lighter the car, the better the car is. And obviously, twin turbochargers are lighter compared to a hybrid system. So out that comes. And I also noticed there was something, what looked to be metallic, just underneath the Inception Racing car there. I was wondering if maybe it's a bit of bodywork, but I think it was maybe just a sticker, so it shouldn't really have punctured the tyres there when it was dropped off the jacks there. So nothing too much to worry about here, as Brendan Ariba is once again behind the wheel of the Inception Racing. So that will change, obviously, to Ollie Milroy, because he's definitely not doing 3 sessions back to back.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Who else?
It's definitely Ollie at the wheel.
Right, thank you. Patrick Chalère is behind the wheel of the number 28 TFT Racing Mercedes. David Gosner has jumped on board the family number 58 Mercedes, and August Raber is now in the number 3 Kart Collection Motorsport Porsche. Marcel Zalua, I was correct, has now jumped on board the Grès Valmont Racing AMG number 44, so let's see as to what he might be able to do, because that is a car that has been going well in this session, but he's only bronze graded, so he's one of the lower graded drivers, but has got plenty of experience. He's raced in GT World Challenge Australia, in International GT Open. We've seen him in the 24-hour series. He's raced in the Bathurst 12. He's done the Porsche Sprint Cup as well in Australia, so he's got plenty of experience under his belt, but he is one of the 2 bronze graded drivers in what is a Pro-Am car.
And also the Almanabai Dragon Racing number 77 is out as well, but Chris Frogger is shown as the driver. That will definitely be changed as well to their third driver, because we've always seen Chris Frogger and Alfaiza Al-Zubair behind the wheel. Now Ben Barnicoat's behind the wheel of the 69, the Optimum Motorsport car. Fabio Babini is behind the wheel of the Tsunami RT number 79, and now we've got more cars trickling their way onto the fast lane and out of pit lane as well. Plenty of onboards as well to watch on, and it's always very interesting to see just how much visibility the drivers really have, because those windshields, they are severely raked, and that really compromises where they're looking around as well. But in the end of the day, that's a sports car for you, because it's very reminiscent of the actual road car. But it's incredible to see it right on board just how raked that windshield is.
Yeah, and the drivers, of course, they'll have wing mirrors on these cars, but what most of them will have is a rear view camera, so you tend not to really look in the wing mirror. It's a rear view camera that shows you exactly what's going on behind the car, and you need less usage of the wing mirrors. So most cars on an out lap at this stage. Ollie Milroy is on a flying lap at this stage. He has already completed an out lap by what our screens are saying, so he'll be one to watch out. A driver who is a British driver but is now based in the UAE. Moved the family and the business over here a couple of years ago. Absolutely loves life out here. The whole family is here, of course, supporting him this weekend. So he's on board that number 70 car that we can see picking its way around the circuit. So he's just safely negotiated what is turn 6 and turn 7, and he's pressing on in the first sector for him. Absolute best through the first sector. He's about to come through the second sector at this stage. And is he going to go purple through the second sector? One would have thought so, because he's the first car really that's doing a flying lap.
And he has done purple through sector 2, and I also wonder, is he going to do 3 laps then go into the pit lane as well? We'll have to find out in 2 laps time if he will do the same thing. But purple through 1 and 2. Let's see what Ollie Milroy can do through the third and final sector. Axel Jeffries now behind the wheel of the number 2, the Inter Africa Racing by Haas RT. Jules Gounon behind the wheel of that Grove Racing by Get Speed, all the way down in 11th position. And with Jules Gounon background of racing around the world globally, it's no doubt that that car will be working its way very quickly up this order when it comes to qualifying, because that'll be a very unusual spot to see Jules Gounon in.
Yeah, Jules, there's not a lot he hasn't won in sports cars over the years. GT World Challenge, Intercontinental GT Challenge, Bathurst 12 Hour, Spa 24, ADAC Masters. The list just goes on and on and on. It's a very impressive CV for Jules Gounon. Ollie Milroy sets the benchmark time then in this session so far. The first of the cars to complete a flying lap, really. 1 minute 52.665 from him. Ben Barnicoat, though, is going well on his first flying lap at the wheel of the number 69. Optimum Motorsport McLaren. He's just gone purple, absolute best through the first sector.
And August Rivera as well has done a flying lap as well, 157.484 in the car collection Motorsport number 3 Porsche, now being shown as 20th fastest at 158.892 as their average time so far. 157.484 though for the young man who raced in Formula 4 Middle East last year, and also did British F4 this season as well. Now has made the transition over to tin tops essentially, or to sports car and GT racing here in GT3 the Golf 12 Hour. Now keeping a close eye out as well for Ben Barnicoat. Maro Engel is behind the wheel of the Winwood Winwood Racing number 16, which is now being shown as 7th fastest out there at the moment. Purple through the second sector for Axel Jeffries in the number 2. It's currently shown as 10th overall, although our timing screen's doing something very, very interesting at the moment. It says position 5 is at the top, but I think that's because they're position 5 on track in terms of time, but overall they are the ones that have the highest average here, isn't it?
Yep, that's it. I think that's the way it works for this one. Ben Barnicoat improved time last time through and set a time of a 1 minute 52.942. We're looking at that McLaren as it's now heading in towards the braking area at turn number 5. Ben is a former winner of the Gulf 12 Hours, but he's never won it here at Yas Marina.
So now is the time to do it as well.
It was the one single race at Bahrain where he was behind the wheel to
and he's currently shown as 3rd overall with the average time, but on our screen series shows that he's 4th, so not confusing at all. But 2 purple sector times there for Inter Africa Racing by Haas RT, with Axel Jeffries behind the wheel, as you said before. A 154.015 is now their average, and a 152.799 was his lap time previously there as well. Barnicoat quick again through sector 1, a 23.584 for the Optimum Motorsport driver in that 69. Let's see if it'll be purple as well through sector 2. It won't be, it'll be green though, so a personal best of 46.936, but still a quick lap indeed. Will that be enough to lower their average time by at least a tenth of a second?
We're just looking at the Define by Dragon Ferrari at this stage, so that will be Giacomo Altway that will be behind the wheel of that one, partnered up with Oscar Renjovic and Giovanni Altway, who is his elder brother actually. So that's just threading its way underneath the W Hotel and is about to conclude the lap. As for the number 69 Ben Barnicoat driven McLaren, this could be the fastest lap of this session so far. Absolute best first sector, quicker than anybody through the first sector, quicker than he's been through the second sector, absolute best through the third. Ben Barnicoat tops the times in this session, 1 minute 52.256. That improves the average time for the McLaren now to a 1:53.401. And that puts them third quickest overall on average times now, combined times of all of the drivers.
And that was a 0.2 of a second gap taken down for their average time as well, with a 1:53.401. But that was momentarily bested by what looked to be the Almanar car as well. And that's now being shown all the way down. Ben Tuck's time, now was that time removed? It was a 1:52.684. It was best for third overall, but that car's been shuffled right down the order to 11th fastest in terms of the average time. Indeed it is, because it's showing driver 1 a 1:57.265, but his last lap was a 1:52.684. So was that 1:52 maybe cutting a corner somewhere, maybe too many wheels offline? And Mark, look who has come into the pit lane, but on after 4 laps instead of 3.
Yep, that's Ollie Milroy. I think what they're doing is saving tyres. You only get 16 sets, so 3 laps from each driver puts them in a good position. Jules Goulnon's just set the fastest time of the session so far, 1:51.948 from the Grove Racing by Get Speed number 4 Mercedes. But on this lap, watch out also for another Mercedes. Fellow factory driver Maro Engel going beautifully well at the wheel of the number 16 Winwood Racing Mercedes. Absolute best first sector by nearly 0.3 of a second. Quicker than anybody else through the second sector. His car is currently going to work its way over the start-finish line and improves its time with a 1:52.048 from the German factory driver. That improves the combined time, and therefore that car now pops up to third. So it's Inception Racing from Winwood, Ferrari, Mercedes at the moment, the top 3.
And Jules Gounon there, a 1:51.948, the first of our drivers to dip into the 1:51s as well. That is good enough for what looks to be second quickest in the session, but just inside the top 10, as Almanar by Dragon now tops the timesheets with an average of a 1:52.720. It's Inception Racing with Ollie Milroy, who came into the pit lane, that momentarily had the top spot, but now that has gone the way of the Ferrari team there with Ben Tuck behind the wheel. But with these times that are coming in, Mark, I think we're going to have a good scrap here in these 5.5 minutes remaining.
You look at the difference between the average lap time. Ben Tuck's just improved his time, which improves the average for the car. He now goes top on combined times for Almanar by Dragon. But there's only 19 thousandths of a second on average times between themselves and the Inception Racing. And Ollie Milroy can't respond now because he's in the pit lane, which is where Alan is.
No, he's not. He's just left pit lane. Tyres have been bolted on. And although the timing screen says it's Brendan at the wheel, it's Ollie.
Thank you, Alan, for clarifying that one. They've had trouble with that transponder right the way throughout this qualifying session. Jules Gounon improves again that time through at the wheel of the Grove Racing number 4 Mercedes. 1:51.664 for Jules Gounon. Now hoists that car up to what will be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth overall. Is it something like that at this stage? So Jules doing what Jules has to do. And we can see as to what Ollie Milroy might be able to do, because Inception Racing, their plan hasn't quite worked so far. That's why they're responding.
It certainly hasn't, and that's a very good strategy to have as well, to save those sets of tyres for the race and carry them over. So you have used tyres, but maybe not as used as everybody else's from qualifying. I mean, they've still got 2 sets that are not as used as everybody else's so far.
Debris at turn number 14. Now that's the exit. You come under the W Hotel and turn left. Now That might be a microbollard that someone's clonked and put into the circuit, or it may well be that a car's got a little bit too close to the barrier there, and it might be a bit of car that's at the side of the circuit.
It certainly could be as well. Maybe a dive plane, maybe something a bit larger, perhaps a spoiler, but we haven't seen anything quite yet if that what is lying or what that debris is or where it's come from. Has it come from a car? The session is still green for the time being, so it can't be that big. It may just be online somewhere and the drivers are going to have to take avoiding action. But this is going to upset some of the drivers as well because they want to go quicker as the session progresses, and if that debris is in a part of the track that they can't use to get their optimal line, that's going to slow them right down, and they can be very, very upset with themselves, not forgetting that lap time at the beginning, but because having that corner taken away from them as into the pit lane comes Ben Tuck in that Almana by Dragon Racing. Now the yellow flag
as well.
Oh, sorry, Alan.
And Ben Tuck has climbed out of the car.
Thank you, Alan.
And that means session done for them. I think they're happy with their time as well. There is a brief yellow flag at turn 1. Well, it's actually come back out now as well. Now it says what car has spun through that corner.
It was the number 44 car that was showing up, which would be Marcel Zalua at the wheel of the Grey Velmont number 44 Mercedes, which is the car that's fastest in the Pro-Am category on combined times at the moment, so they'll be pushing hard. So it did say spin and continued, but with the yellow flag being out there, I wonder whether he's still struggling to get the thing going.
And still that debris is being shown down at turn 14, so it hasn't been recovered just yet. Well, car 44, it says spun and continued at turn 1, so now the yellow flag has been removed. No, it's still there. So is there debris as well also at turn 1, or is there something else? Has someone possibly stopped there? We haven't seen a slow sector time come through just yet. And it was confirmation that there's a car that spun, but we don't have a visual of it, so we can't see exactly what happened. But we've got 2 minutes left in the session here. We've still not seen that debris either at some point here. As we're looking at the 69, this is the car that currently sits 5th fastest overall in the session and 6th overall on average time.
Ollie Milroy back out of the pit lane on that out lap, of course, trying to respond to try and get Inception Racing back onto pole position. Has just gone at the wheel of the number 70 Ferrari, quicker through the first sector than he's previously gone. However, he's slightly slower, but not by much through the second sector. So he's going to be down at turn number 10, 11, 12, something like that at the moment. Remember, he doesn't need much of an improvement. The average lap time for the number 70 Ferrari only needs to improve by 19 thousandths of a second to match the average lap time of the number 77 Almanar by Dragon machine that at the moment provisionally occupies pole position with 75 seconds of this qualifying session still to go. It's all down to this lap, or if not the next one, isn't it, for Ollie Milroy, surely?
And we've already seen, and we've got confirmation as well, that Ben Tuck is out of that car. Now more cars lining up on the pit lane as well. Looking at Mara Engel, 3rd fastest overall in the session, but in terms of average lap time, 4th. And Mark, you've spotted something on the screen. What have you spotted?
Back to the top of the times. He's done it. Ollie Milroy has gone quicker at the wheel of the Inception Racing number 70 Ferrari. We didn't see it, but a 1 minute 52.371 improves his time, and therefore improves the average time for the car. Inception Racing at the moment are on pole.
They certainly are, and now they can sit a bit more comfortably. Now they can bring that car in because there's not that much time left on the clock, only 30 seconds. That's going to be quite some time for both Almanar by Dragon and Windward Racing to respond to this. But at the same time, we have to see that we have Mara Engel, we have Ben Barnicoat, we have Axel Jeffries and Jules Gounon all still out there as well. And Mark, you've just noticed that Axel Jeffries has gone purple through that second sector with a 46.557. He's looking to move that Audi R8 up inside the top 5 if he can.
Yep, absolutely. That car is just outside of the top sort of 6 or 7 at the moment. It's probably in 8th place, the Audi this is, but quicker through sector 1 than he's previously gone. Absolute best through the second sector, and the number 2 car should be heading through turn number 16 at the moment, the final corner, and about to charge its way over the start-finish line. Now, of course, it depends how much it improves its average time. It does go through, it does improve the time, 1 minute 52.079, and it moves it up another place in the order. So Axel Jeffries now, at the moment, having out-qualified the Grove Racing by Get Speed Mercedes in the hands of Jules Gounon, who is not on a quicker lap this time through. He's on a slowdown lap.
And that average now is a 158.079. Sorry, that was their last lap. It's an average of 153.775. there behind the number 44 that had that spin earlier on in this session here as well. And now we have one car, but this is Mauro Engel. You saw the Grove Racing Jules Gounon move out of the way to say, nope, I'm going to not impede your lap time here. I can see that you're coming quicker, and let's see what Mauro Engel can do here.
Well, he's 23.4 through the first sector, which is slower than he's previously done, but that is quicker than pretty much anybody has done through the first sector. Mauro is so quick through the first sector. Is he going to get compromised by a bit of traffic towards the end of the lap? He's quicker than he's previously gone through the second sector, but knew it wasn't quite going to happen in the third sector. So Mauro Engel aborting the lap and heading into the pit lane, but pretty much threw everything at it to see what he might be able to do for Winwood Racing. But on average time, they are a 1 minute 53.154. He'd have needed to have gone about 0.3 of a second quicker to get anywhere near the average time of the sister car from Winwood Racing, who are, by the look of things, going to lock out the second row of the grid, aren't they, their two Mercedes?
They certainly will, and it's resumed more than racing now as the last car to come into what is a very busy pit lane and a traffic jam building up there at Parc Fermé, because all the cars now will be under Parc Fermé conditions here as we come to an end. There is no more sessions after this. This was the final of the 4 qualifying sessions for qualifying driver number 1, and of course we'll have a quick look at where everybody is when it is all ready and once it's been finalised. Now remember, these will be provisional results. We'll have to find out tomorrow exactly where everybody starts and of course who will be starting which car as well. It'll be interesting to see if the bronze drivers start the car, or maybe we'll see some interesting strategies play out, or we'll see the quicker gold rated drivers get behind the wheel as well.
So the one thing that's also worth identifying, if you've not watched the Golf 12 Hours before, we keep talking about it's broken into 2 parts, an 8-hour part 1 of the race and then a 4-hour part 2. When we get the checkered flag at the end of the 8 hours, it's the number of laps that are carried forward to part 2 of the race. So if you're a lap down in part number 1, you're still a lap down when we start part number 2. If you are on the lead lap, albeit almost being lapped, but still on the lead lap in part 1, you are on the lead lap as we start part 2. So it all gets carried over, the amount of laps, full laps that have been accumulated from part 1 to part 2. And of course it's finishing positions from part 1 that give us the grid for part 2. That's fairly simple, isn't it?
It is, and that's why we don't have a second qualifying session. It's just these 4 sessions here for all 4 drivers here, and then the average time is used to set up the grid tomorrow morning. So we'll go through that a few moments time as we're looking on board with Marco Palunci, who is making his way into Parc Fermé there. And it's going to be very busy down there on the pit lane and the paddock area now tonight. But it is at the top of the timesheets here, Inception Racing with a 1:52.641. But is that the quickest time? Yes, it is, because it was the 8th fastest time of the session with a 2:02.922, but it was a 1:52.371. But even though that was the 8th fastest time in the session, it was still good enough to bring the average down. So Grove Racing by Get Speed, the Jules Gounon car there, Mercedes AMG GT3, the number 4, was the one that was the quickest of all in the session, a 1:51.664. But unfortunately, that is not the quickest time that will carry over for pole position tomorrow. It's an average time, and they can only do what looks to be about 8th fastest, but we'll get from confirmation. Actually, no, it's higher up. It's 4th fastest, isn't it? Marcel Zaloa for Greyer Valemont Racing, 2nd fastest in the session here with a 1:54.364. But that time is not is actually slower compared to Mauro Engel. So why is Marcel being shown so far up there? Now that's quite interesting. Was a lap time possibly removed there towards the end of the session, and that's why it's being shown as 2nd fastest, and it was Mauro Engel, as you said, 3rd fastest overall in that session, because on our timing screen it still shows that he is the 2nd fastest, but that it was not in that 1:51 threshold, was it, Mark?
No, I think that's just a small error that had crept into the system there, so the graphics disappeared. We'll get that corrected and hopefully it can pop back up again. So the cars now off the circuit. Let's just have a quick look at the combined results then. So in reality, provisionally, this is how the grid should look for tomorrow. The Inception Racing Ferrari 296 will start, the number 70 car, from pole position, but it's an all-Ferrari front row of the grid with Almanar by Dragon lining up alongside them. Winwood Racing will lock out the 2nd row of the grid with number 81 and their number 16 cars on row number 2. And the 3rd row of the grid will see another Mercedes, which will be Capital RT by Motorpark, the number 13 car lining up alongside Optimum Motorsports. The leading car in Pro-Am which is Gaia Velmont Racing. Their Mercedes AMG will start 7th, and the leading car in the AM category will be the Garage 59 McLaren, car number 8, which will start down in 13th position. So let's head down in towards the pit lane. Alan Hyde's down there to get some reaction.
Because Ollie has just taken his helmet off. Well done, Ollie. Congratulations. Interesting way of doing qualifying as well. You came into pit lane.
Yeah, I wanted to start the last run on a used set just to get a bit of a reference. It's our first weekend with a Pirelli tyre, so with the Ferraris. So we've had a lot of learning to do over the last 24 hours, which, you know, thankful for a lot of track time. So it's the first time that I've really had a chance to run on some fresh tyres. So I just took Frederick's tyres from Q2 just to get a bit of a reference, get my eye in, and then go on new at the end.
Whose idea was that? Was that yours? Was that the team?
I'd love to say that was my idea, but I've got to give the credit to the engineer.
But it was genius, and of course qualifying the way it works here at the Golf 12 Hours, it is teamwork, isn't it? You all had good runs.
Yeah, we did. It helps a lot when your bronze Brendan at the start got in and did a mega job, like incredible lap. To the point when Fred and I looked at each other and we were like, wow, we've got to push to beat him. So that helped. It gave us a bit of breathing room as well, took a bit of pressure off us, and we just went out and enjoyed it, really.
And you've got a lovely situation this weekend because you're local now, you live over here.
Yeah, I mean, don't ask me to speak any of the lingo. I'm not, my Arabic's
Have
not...
you got a little bit of it?
A little bit, yeah. Shukran. Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks to the fans. It's a home race. It's nice to be just an hour down the road. My wife Fern and the kids are here as well. So hopefully we can put on a good show for them tomorrow. There's a long way to go.
It's a long way to go, 12 hours to be exact. Ollie, well done, congratulations. Ollie Milroy down here in Parc Fermé.
Thanks a lot, Alan. Yeah, it was a mega stint that he did, and to go back out and do that on used tyres rather than another sticker set, impressive stuff.
A very interesting strategy as well. I would have thought he would have said I went back out on a new set of tyres just to try and get that. But to get that lap time sorted out with used tyres is mighty impressive to put that Inception Racing Ferrari on pole position provisionally for the time being, and there the car is. And of course alongside them, as you said, it's a Ferrari lockout, the first time the 296 GT3 car is here in the Golf 12 Hours, and they've locked out the front row of the grid. Absolutely phenomenal stuff there, isn't it? And a Winward Racing lock out that second row, and there of course are the 3 drivers who will take provisional pole, and it'll be our job now to find out which of the 3 will be starting that car. And I think they're going to draw straws because they'll go, I don't know, do we want to really get up that early? I think they're going to really have to figure that out as well, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they'll have to figure all of that out. So big smiles all round down there in the pit lane. The Inception Racing Ferrari will start from pole position, and that wraps up our qualifying footage for the 15th edition of the Golf 12 Hour. Of course, we've got the full broadcast to bring you tomorrow around about 8:30 in the morning. The starting procedure gets underway. The race itself, it's just past 9 o'clock in the morning. So from Alan Hyde down there in the pit lane, from Chris Milbourne, who's joined me up in the commentary box, and myself, Mark Werrell, let's have a look back at some of the highlights that we've just seen from qualifying. We'll catch you tomorrow. Enjoy.